My father nodded slowly. "It's a start," he said. "It's a good start," my mother said. I looked at my father's face. He didn't look defeated. He didn't look embarrassed. He looked like a man who had made a decision and was at peace with it. I thought that was the end of the hard part. I was wrong. The printing shop was 6 miles from our house. 6 miles. Without a car, my father had 2 options. The bus, which would take an hour and 15 minutes with 2 transfers and still leave him with a half-mile walk, or walking the whole way. The bus was $8 a day. My father did the math. $8, 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month. $160 he felt the family couldn't spare yet. So he started walking. Every morning, he woke up at 4:30. He made his coffee, he packed his lunch, he put on his work clothes. And then, while the whole neighborhood was still asleep, he walked out the front door and started moving through the dark. 6 miles there. 6 miles back. Every single day. I didn't know for 2 weeks. I found out by accident. I had a school project that required me to stay late one evening, and my mother picked me up. On the drive home, I saw a figure walking along the road in the fading evening light, tall, straight-backed, moving with a steady, unhurried pace. I recognized the walk before I recognized the face. "Mom," I said, "is that Dad?" She slowed the car. It was him. His bag over his shoulder, his shoes dusty from the road, walking like a man who had somewhere to be and didn't need anyone to take him there. My mother pulled the car over. She rolled down the window. "Raymond," she called. He turned. When he saw us, something flickered across his face. Not embarrassment exactly. More like a man who had been keeping a quiet secret and wasn't sure how he felt about it being found. "Mom," I finally said. "How long has he been doing that?" She turned to look at me. Her eyes were clear, not crying, but full of something I didn't have a word for then. "Long enough," she said quietly. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in the dark and thought about my father walking 6 miles in the morning dark. 6 miles back in the evening. Alone on those roads, carrying his lunch, carrying his dignity, carrying all of us without a single word of complaint. I thought about every time I had complained about something small, about the cereal, about not having the new trainers I wanted, about having to share a computer for homework. And I felt ashamed, not in a crushing way, but in the way that changes you, the kind of shame that quietly asks you to be better. I got up, I went to my desk, and I wrote my father a letter. I know that sounds old-fashioned, but I couldn't say these things out loud. Not yet. I was 14 and I didn't have the words in my mouth, only on paper. I wrote about how I had seen him in the street. I wrote that I understood now, not everything, but more than before. I wrote that I was proud of him. I wrote that I was going to work harder at school, not because I had to, but because I wanted to be worth what he was doing. I folded the letter, I slid it under his bedroom door. I went back to bed. The next morning I came down to breakfast and my father was already at the table. He was holding the letter, folded open in his hands. He didn't say anything when I walked in. He just looked at me. His eyes were red at the edges. He stood up. He crossed the kitchen and he put both arms around me, the way he used to when I was small, and he held on for a long moment. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. When he let go, he cleared his throat, folded the letter carefully and put it in his shirt pocket. He never mentioned it again. But I saw him take that letter out sometimes in quiet moments, reading it, folding it back, putting it away. Things got better slowly, the way good things usually do. Not all at once, not dramatically but steadily, the way the sky gets lighter before you even realize the sun is coming up. My father got promoted at the printing shop 8 months later. Not back to what he had before, but moving in that direction. He started getting rides with a colleague who lived nearby. Eventually, by the time I was 16, he had saved enough for a second-hand car. Nothing like the old one, but it ran well, and it was his. The morning he brought it home, he stood in the driveway and looked at it for a long time. I stood beside him. "Not bad," I said. He laughed, a real laugh, from somewhere deep. "Not bad at all. I'm not 14 anymore. I'm older now, with my own life, my own responsibilities, my own mornings where I have to decide what kind of man I'm going to be that day." Years passed. Life has a strange way of moving forward even when the memories stay exactly where they were. I finished school, then college. Eventually, I moved to another city for work. My parents stayed in the same house, the same kitchen table, the same driveway where our old car once stood empty. But one thing never changed. My father still woke up early, even after he bought another car, even after his position at the printing shop improved, even after the hardest years were long behind us. He still woke up before sunrise. One morning, when I was visiting home, I woke up early too. I went downstairs expecting to see him making coffee like always, but the kitchen was empty. His car was still in the driveway. For a moment, I thought maybe he had gone to the store. Then I saw his walking shoes missing by the door, so I stepped outside. The morning air was cold and quiet, the kind of quiet that only exists before the world wakes up. And far down the street I saw a familiar figure. My father, walking. The same steady pace, the same straight back, the same quiet determination. I caught up to him a few minutes later. "Dad?" I called. He turned around, surprised to see me. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked with a small smile. I looked at him. "Why are you walking?" I asked. "You have a car now." He looked down the road for a moment before answering. Then he shrugged slightly. "Habit, I guess." We walked together for a few minutes. The sun was just starting to rise, painting the sky with that pale orange color that only lasts for a few moments. Finally, I asked him something I had wondered about for years. "Dad, were you scared back then?" He didn't answer right away. He kept walking, then he said quietly, "Every day." That surprised me. When you're young, your parents look unbreakable, like nothing in the world can shake them. But my father shook his head slightly and continued. "I was scared I wouldn't find work. I was scared I wouldn't be able to provide. And I was scared you would see me fail." I stopped walking. "But I never saw you fail," I said. He looked at me and smiled. "That's because failure isn't falling down," he said. "Failure is refusing to get back up." We kept walking until the sun fully rise. When we finally turned back toward the house, I realized something I hadn't understood when I was 14. My father hadn't just been walking to work. He had been walking through fear, through pride, through exhaustion, through every doubt a man can carry. And he kept going anyway. Love chooses effort over comfort.